Hello again, everyone. In today's English lesson, there will be fun fact quizzes. We will learn what is an adjective, and we will use adjectives to describe. Let's start with a fun facts quiz. Adjectives are a type of word used to describe. But what do they describe? Is it A, verbs or doing words? B, nouns, people, places, and things? Or C, pronouns, words like he, she, it, and they? The answer is nouns. Adjectives are used to add detail to nouns, which are words for people, places, and things. Well done if you got that right. Now let's start with an activity. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Spot the adjectives from these words. You might want to pause the video so you have more time. If you want an extra challenge, you can also try and make a sentence using the words on the screen, including an adjective. Each column contains a different kind of word. Our adjectives are the describing words in the second last column. As you can see, there are a number of sentences you could have made. You would need to start with the pronoun I to make your sentence. Then, you have the modal verb can and the verb see. The word a is what we call the indefinite article, and this can be followed by one of our adverbs, quite or very. Then you have your famous adjectives, fierce, clumsy, or brown. And last of all, there were two nouns, which are words for people, places, or things on the screen, bear and frog. But most important is that you manage to spot our adjectives, which are words used to describe a noun, in this case the bear. If you wanted to, you could also have included multiple adjectives in one sentence. For example, rather than just saying, I saw a brown bear, you could say, I saw a fierce, brown, but clumsy bear. Well done if you managed to spot those adjectives. So, what is an adjective? Well, an adjective is a word that describes a noun. So it describes a person, place, or thing. Adjectives can be useful in our writing because adding more detail helps your reader imagine what you are describing. Let's look at this example from Harry Potter, which has had its adjectives taken out. Mr. Dursley was a man with hardly any neck, although he did have a moustache. Mrs. Dursley had nearly twice the usual amount of neck. Reading this, there's only so much of Mr. and Mrs. Dursley that we can imagine. Really, we have very little idea what they look like from this description. But let's see what happens if we read the same sentences how J.K. Rowling originally wrote them, with the adjectives included. Mr. Dursley was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large moustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck. Here, adjectives are used to describe Mr. Dursley as big and beefy, and we know that he has a large moustache. Mrs. Dursley is also described as thin and blonde, which are both adjectives. Suddenly, it's much easier to picture what the characters look like, and all because of the help of adjectives are useful describing words. Your turn! Pause the video and have a look at this picture and write a few sentences describing it using adjectives, words that describe a noun. Here is the kind of thing you could have said. The mossy trees seemed to sparkle with the sun's warm yellow light. The underlined words are adjectives because they are all describing a noun. For example, mossy is describing the trees, and warm and yellow are describing the light. Let's now learn about a certain kind of adjective, called comparative adjectives. Comparative adjectives are adjectives which compare two things. You can often spot them because they normally end in ER. For example, he was taller than his sister. Tall would be the normal adjective, but by adding ER to compare the boy to his sister, the adjective is now a comparative adjective. See if you can pause the video and change these normal adjectives into comparative adjectives ending in ER. Hopefully, you got these answers. In each example, the comparative adjective is comparing two things and ends in ER. Superlative adjectives are the other kind of adjective we will learn about today. Whilst comparative adjectives compare two things, superlative adjectives compare to everything else and say that whatever is being described cannot be beaten in its quality. For example, something is not just cold, a normal adjective, and it's not just colder than some things, a comparative adjective. It is the coldest of anything. Often our superlative adjectives end in this est sound. For example, he was the tallest in our family. In this example, tallest is a superlative adjective because it is saying that he is the tallest of everyone. He cannot be beaten in tallness. How would you change these adjectives to make them superlative? Pause the video and have a go. Hopefully, these are the answers you got. Notice how all of these superlative adjectives end in est. Activity time. Here is a slide full of adjectives. Your job is to pause the video and sort the adjectives into normal adjectives, comparative adjectives, and superlative adjectives. Good luck! Off you go. And here are the answers. Hopefully, looking out for ER endings for comparative adjectives and est endings for superlative adjectives helped you with this task. Great stuff, everyone. Now for our final practice. Pause this video and describe the picture on the screen using a normal adjective, a comparative adjective, and a superlative adjective. You could have said something like this. The serene blue sky was the brightest I had ever seen. Soaring through it were lightning-fast bees and an even quicker dragonfly. In this example, the normal adjectives are serene, blue, and fast. Lightning is also an adjective here because it is being used to describe a noun. It is describing the bees. We also have a comparative adjective, quicker, and a superlative, brightest. Check your writing and see if you managed a normal adjective as well as a comparative, ER adjective, and a superlative, an est adjective. Really well done if you did. Last of all, let's end with a fun facts quiz. There are two kinds of adjective, as we've learnt, but which of these is not a kind of adjective? Is it A, stative, B, comparative, or C, superlative? The answer is that stative is not a kind of adjective. As we know, Adjectives can be comparative, our ER adjectives comparing two things, or they can be superlative, our est adjectives comparing the noun to everything else. Well done if you got that right. I hope you've enjoyed learning all about adjectives. Join me in the next lesson and we'll be learning even more English. Next time, we will learn what persuasive writing is, spot persuasive techniques, and write our own persuasive writing. See you soon!